Hey friends, welcome to my house in Dallas, Texas. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about how to plant, but also how to eat your yard. So you really can carve out a lot of space in your yard if you have landscaping around. It's really great to intermix food with your landscape, and it's kind of pretty. A tree fell down in this area, so I decided to turn this into a garden. I've got dill, I've got rosemary, I've got sorrel, basil, Swiss chard, carrots, sugar snap peas, onion, tomatoes. I just randomly just kind of planted all over the place. I feel a little bit like Johnny Appleseed right now, but it's all good. It's gonna be beautiful and edible. Yum. I'm in my backyard today and I'm finding another place to build a garden. It's a perfect sunny spot. I don't have a lot of sun in my backyard, but right over here is the perfect place to start. Okay, so now I have my perimeter marked off. I'm gonna use the fence line and I'm just use some bricks that I found around my yard. I'll probably put a second layer on, but for now, that is my new garden space. The sprinkler's right in the middle, and in Texas, that's important, so it'll get water. There is a vine growing in there that I think I'm just gonna remove. And now it's time to dig a lot of grass, making sure to get the roots. I think I'll be fighting it, but it's go time for planting right now, so that's what I'm gonna do. So on another note, digging in wet soil is a little bit tricky. As you can see, my shoes are out of whack. But I do have a dog who's helping me dig holes, so hopefully she's getting the roots. Go, Jolene, go. Now I've got my bed cut out. The grass is mostly removed. I'm sure I'll be fighting it for some time. And I'm gonna put some black agriculture cloth around the outside to try to discourage more grass from popping back up. And agriculture cloth, they use it in farms for the rows and also to plant plants, even in the growing spaces, and then they cut holes in it. But I'm gonna use it around the border to try to keep the grass out. Grass is always a pain, weeds are always a pain. Gardening's not easy, but it's worth the effort. Okay, I got the agriculture cloth ready to roll. You can see I kind of put it inside the perimeter of the garden bed because it's Texas, it's St. Augustine grass, which tends to root and go. I'm still probably gonna have to deal with it, but later on I can roll it back once I get the grass under control. And some places in the United States, it's not gonna be a problem because your grass doesn't, St. Augustine kind of creeps and vines and just takes off. It goes crazy. So that's why I have to be pretty aggressive with my deterrent for grass. So in the fall, what I do with my leaves is I collect them, I put them around my shrubs and bushes, and that's where I put my leaves because I'm trying to make like a forest floor. You want to have a lot of leaves around to help the bugs and just to keep your ground moist, and it's beneficial. It's not going to the landfill. So today I'm gonna gather up some of these leaves. I'm gonna put those down as the first layer. So here's my completed layer of leaves. Notice it covers most of the ground. Any kind of organic amendment you can put in the garden is great. The next thing I'm gonna do is add one more layer of brick, and then I'm gonna put in some compost. So I have access to some really great compost. It's where food scraps and leaves and old plant scraps get put, and then you layer it, you add water and air and thyme, and you mix it, and it comes up with beautiful amendments for the garden, which is really healthy. It's like you eating fruits and vegetables. This is like what compost is to the garden. So here's my beautiful compost. You can see it's all finished and ready to go, dark and rich, and that will help give nutrients to the plants. So I'll add that next. Step is adding this raised bed organic soil to the leaves and the compost and mixing that all around to get the bed ready for planting. So after about 3 days of digging and building and now replenishing the soil, I am ready to get growing. So here's a little bit of what we're gonna be growing today. There's some cucumbers, tomatoes, lots of different kinds of peppers, shishitos, purple bell, jalapenos for sure. I always plant marigolds in my garden because that brings in beneficial insects and keeps away the harmful ones. There's some eggplant. I'm gonna do some lettuce. It's a little late in Texas to seed lettuce right now, but sometimes the weather cooperates and you can get a good harvest in the end of April, May. And then onions. Onions are a little late too, but they're a nice staple, and you can pick them as green onions as well. So let's different varieties of tomato plants. This is the Super Sweet 100. Small tomatoes in Texas are better because the squirrels don't get so much of them. And what I do, there's a million ways to skin a cat and a million ways to plant tomatoes. So what I always do is just snip off the bottom leaves like that. And what happens is when you plant, you give it more root structure so that it'll be more sturdy and hold lots of tomatoes. Can get pretty tall. So again, I dig a hole that's as big as my root ball. This is a little bit bigger. I peeled off some of the leaves and stems at the bottom, and then I dug my hole. And so I lay it down underground like that, and I stand it up a little bit like that. Oops. And then I tuck it in like that. And then it's ready to grow. Grow, tomato, grow. Okay, so now when you plant other plants beside tomatoes, like this eggplant here, you dig a hole that's as deep as the root ball. You don't lay it on the side and trim the leaves like you did the tomato. So you just dig a hole, pop it in there, tuck it into bed. Bundles at the store. In Texas, we usually plant them in January, and I'm a little late, but I'm gonna just go for it and see what happens. They can always be green onions. You separate one out, and what I always do is use my finger and dig a hole and then slip it in, an onion slip, and stand it up. Ta-da! And then I'll do them in a row. I plant them about an inch apart. With dill, I just lay down a little bit of it, sprinkle it around, and rub it in. I'm kind of a guerrilla gardener a little bit. They're not very big seeds, so you don't have to dig deep holes for them. So you really kind of just scatter them below the surface. Dirty hands is a sign of a great day. So it's been a good day, a big day of gardening. I always forget to put my gloves on, and this is what I always look like. But connecting to the earth keeps you healthy for sure. So I'm going to take my seeds and I'm just going to scatter them in this area. Now some people are probably cringing, but this is how I do it, and it works for me. And then I just gently rub them in till I can't see them anymore, and hope that they grow. Ta-da! Same thing with this lettuce mix. Now it's a little late to plant lettuce in Texas, but we'll just see what happens. The worst case scenario, I'll pull it out. So I encourage you guys to grow a garden however you can, with found parts, with raised beds, with pots, with windowsills. Just get growing. It makes you feel good, and it's so delicious. It's the most nutritious food you can get. 100% organic, and you did it yourself. Can't wait to hear from you. Good luck. Happy gardening. Oh, look closely, friends. It's a good sign. The snail's on our side for sure.